Let's shift our attention to the other big story tonight. RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat has called for a nationwide ban on cow slaughter. This demand being backed now by several senior BJP leaders. There is, of course, a problem. The opposition alleges the BJP is being hypocritical. In Kerala, for example, one of the candidates of the BJP promised the best quality, tastiest beef. He later had to do a volte-face. In the northeast too, BJP leaders openly talk about allowing beef. It's allowed in Goa as well. So how can Mohan Bhagwat on the one side be pushing for a nationwide ban on cow slaughter, while on the other, leaders from the BJP themselves say that beef's not so bad in fact? Here's the story.
Black flags and chants of "Go back Bhagwat." This was the scene awaiting RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat at Patna airport just days after he demanded a ban on beef across India.
गाय को बचाने जाए और उस प्रयास में और कहीं पर किसी के मन को ठेस पहुंचे, धक्का लगे, हिंसा हो, ऐसा कुछ नहीं करना चाहिए.
The RSS chief's attempts to balance out the issue of cow protection surely didn't impress the opposition.
They're following this kind of a divide and rule policy, and that kind of a role which he contemplates will actually divide the country. It will create anarchy in the country, and that will have a law and order question every day.
बीजेपी खुद नॉर्थ ईस्ट में कह रही है, जब आइंदा साल इलेक्शन में जा रहे हैं, कि वहाँ पर वो काउ स्लॉटर के खिलाफ कोई बिल नहीं लाएंगे. तो ये हिपोक्रेसी क्यों है लोगों की? काउ के नाम पर अब तक मोदी सरकार की हुकूमत में 9 से ज़्यादा मुसलमानों की हत्या हो चुकी है.
Unfortunately, when you have a government which is totally infiltrated, co-opted by the RSS chief thinks that he is the framer of this law. This government has abandoned its responsibilities. It has installed RSS advisors in every post, right from the top to the bottom.
But Bhagwat's cry for a nationwide ban on cow slaughter won huge support on the other side of the spectrum.
केवल गौ धार्मिक दृष्टि से नहीं बल्कि आर्थिक दृष्टि से भारत की अर्थनीति कृषि पर आधारित है. कृषि डिपेंडेंट है गौ पर, इसलिए गौ माता के ऊपर, गौ के ऊपर ये कानून होनी चाहिए, पूरे देश में बंद होनी चाहिए.
कोई भी देश की सभ्यता संस्कृति होती है, भारत की ये पहचान है, भारत का ये चिंतन है. इतना बड़ा समाज कभी भी कोई बड़ी प्रतिक्रिया नहीं करता, लेकिन अंदर उस दर्द को, उस पीड़ा को अनुभव करता है.
Government of India should move towards enacting a nationwide ban on cow slaughter.
जब गऊ की हम रक्षा की बात करते हैं तो कुदरती तौर पे उसके साथ हमारी आस्था जुड़ी हुई है, जो हमारी संस्कृति जुड़ी हुई है.
गौ रक्षा के नाम पर.
While the BJP has been selective on where it's pushing for a beef ban, the RSS is clearly not satisfied. Nothing short of a nationwide ban will do for the RSS. With Supriya Bharadwaj in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Can there be a law banning cow slaughter all across India? Is the BJP contradicting itself, where on the one side in the northeast and in Kerala, in Goa, it tells voters there will be no ban on beef, you can go on eating beef, and in other states they ask for a total ban on beef consumption, sale and slaughter. Joining us on the Newsroom showdown tonight, Dr. Swamy, senior leader of the BJP. Assuddin Owaisi is the member of parliament from Hyderabad. Harish Damodran is the agriculture editor of the Indian Express. I want to go across to Dr. Swamy first, because I've got here, Dr. Swamy, quotes from Manohar Parrikar. We've got here quotes from Kiran Rijiju. We've got here quotes from leaders of the BJP who are contesting in Kerala, all of whom say that there's nothing wrong with beef consumption, that, you know, it's okay, and that everyone should be entitled to his or her own dietary choices. Then you've got the RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat asking for a nationwide ban on cow slaughter. Do you see an inherent contradiction, or do you believe that the time has come for India to decisively move towards a nationwide ban on cow slaughter?
Who is this addressed to?
Dr. Swamy, to you, sir.
Well, of course, the time has come for a decisive step forward. Earlier on it was academic because the BJP was nowhere in power. And now we are in many states, and we have a very sizable presence in other states. And this is in the Constitution, and the Constitution is very, very clear. It talks about prohibition of slaughter of cows. And this has been our tradition. We have, where on sentimental grounds, banned the killing of peacocks, for example, and imposed a 7-year sentence for killing peacocks. There are other countries where they eat dogs, for example, China, southern China, they eat dogs, and there are people agitating from all over the world in China, saying that dogs, is a friend of the man and of the human, and therefore there should be a ban on eating dogs. So, I mean, as the case of cow, it's a multi-dimensional appeal, because the cow milk is supposed to be the Bos Indicus breed. The cow is supposed to have the highest quality for milk. Its excreta, or the cow dung, is used for a number of purposes in the villages, which can't afford coal and other modern artifacts of this kind for cooking purposes. Therefore, I think it's about time that, keeping in view the sentiment.
Okay, you're calling on sentiment. Let Assuddin Owaisi respond.
Many kings have banned
we've already banned killing peacocks, the national bird of India, and therefore, given the sentiment of the majority community, Dr. Subramaniam Swamy argues, Mr. Owaisi, that the time has come, and this time the BJP is in a position to bring about a law banning cow slaughter across India. How do you respond to what Mohan Bhagwat is saying?
Please allow me to make quick 5 points. The first point is Mr. Swamy deliberately is misleading over here. The word in section 48 is prevent, not prohibition. Second is, Mr. Swamy knows very well that this pertains to entry 15 of the state list in the 7th schedule of Constitution. You will require 2/3 of majority in both the houses, in half of the assemblies. Third point, Mr. Swamy knows that from 1997 to 2012, the number of cows have increased from 103 million to 117 million. Now, I want Mr. Swamy to respond to this question of mine, that how is it that the male cattle has gone down from 96 to 66 million? Mr. Swamy is an economist, and he studied in, he taught in Harvard, is a professor as well. He knows very well that if a ban is imposed, by 2027, the cattle will increase to 360 to 400 million. Now, will that not be an enormous strain on the resources of the country? And please remember, Rahul, we have cut down our expenditure on Anganwadis. This government has cut down its expenditure on Anganwadis, wherein small children are not getting, and we have the highest malnourished children in the whole of, even worse than sub-Saharan countries. My last point is that why isn't the BJP and RSS worried about Article 47? Why don't you impose prohibition of alcohol? Look at this drama which is being played after Supreme Court judgment, how highways are denotified, and there is empirical evidence that more than 1.5 lakh people die in accidents. And the last point, Rahul, why isn't Mr. Swamy worried about the directive principle of Article 39A, livelihood, 39B and C, equal distribution of wealth, and Article 51, which is again a directive principle to inculcate a scientific temperament? Why is BJP only stuck on 44 and 48? What about the 18 other directive principles? And laws cannot be made on sentiments of Mr. Subramaniam Swamy or Assuddin Owaisi. Laws are religiously neutral.
This is what makes beauty of India.
Dr. Swamy, you must respond. And I think the most compelling argument that you must respond to is the argument about the economic rationale. Let me put this in perspective for our viewers. If, you know, what happens is anyone who's rearing cows, when those cows become old and unfit for milk production, usually tend to sell them off, Hindus and Muslims alike. Now, when you're not allowed to sell cows to those who may ultimately butcher them, those cows become unproductive, you have to keep them, and the amount of money you spend on cattle feed doubles. Input costs go up, milk prices could increase as a consequence. Cow milk will not be profitable when compared with buffalo milk. As a consequence, more dairy farmers will start switching to buffaloes. And that's a very compelling argument that's been made by several people who study the Indian bovine economy. They're arguing that this could actually, Dr. Swamy, end up killing India's dairy trade, where you're imposing perverse costs and just so you might end up achieving the opposite of what you hope to. Let Dr. Swamy respond.
Well, first of all, I must correct Owaisi when he reads the Constitution. Article 48 actually says, and I've got the Constitution before me, prohibiting the slaughter of cows and calves and other milch and drought cattle. It's a very wide thing, and prohibiting is the word used. So it's, he has, I don't know, his memory has failed him, but the Constitution very clearly says that the killing of cows must be prohibited. Secondly, this is all, you know, I have not seen any such study that you are quoting. I have studied the question of the cows in great detail, including the patenting of its milk and its urine and so on. And if you are going to bring the cows, look after the cows, then the question of its breed and its ability to produce milk till a very late age, that continues. And once it becomes very old, there should be a provision to look after them, and that can be done. That's not that's why I've moved a bill, private members bill, asking for an authority which should work on this. And I've never seen a study which says that this is protection of cows or preventing their slaughter would lead to a collapse of the dairy farming or perhaps overpopulate the country with cows. The cows, after all, have a pregnancy period, and that when you are looking after the cows, you can always ensure that the during the pregnancy period, it's in
Mr. Damodaran, we've seen multiple articles being put out, editorial pieces which suggest that a ban on cow slaughter could actually end up having the opposite effect, where milk prices actually go up, and there's a huge burden because of the food grains required to feed the cows who are no longer productive. Dr. Swamy says there is no such study and that nothing of the sort will happen. How do you respond to him, Harish?
See, I don't know about the religious and constitutional aspects and all. I'll tell you purely on the economic thing. It's not possible. If you want the cow, hello?
Harish, I hear you fine. Go ahead and speak.
Connection.
Don't worry, we hear you fine. Please go on.
See, it's like this. See, why did Sanskrit go whatever? Why did it go extinct? I mean, in a way, because people stopped talking. You know, people stopped speaking it. Same thing. We may say good things about the cow. It's part of our culture, but finally, farmers have to keep it, right? The cows are not going to thrive in gaushalas. They have to thrive in the farms. Okay, if the farmer has no interest in keeping a cow because it's impossible to dispose, then somebody has to look after it, right? So let us look at the numbers. We have something like 19 crore cattle, okay, and I think about something like 1 crore gets slaughtered. I mean, in the sense, these are old cattle which are disposed of. Okay, now we are saying that no, farmers should continue to keep cattle, right? But for that, then they need an outlet. So then just look at the costs. Okay, if it is say 1 crore cattle every year, so you have to pay the farmer at least say 25,000 rupees per head. So that itself is say 25,000 crore rupees. And then daily cost of fodder is something like say 200 rupees. So if you were to pay 200 rupees, so that is another 73,000 crore. So are we going to spend 1 lakh crore every year, you know, for this kind of a policy? It makes no sense. I mean, are we going to spend 1 lakh crore on schools and hospitals, or are we going to spend on buying these animals, the old animals, infirm animals?
Damodharan argues that it will cost about 1 crore rupees if, as Dr. Swamy says, the government starts taking care of aged cattle. Harish, I'm just coming back to you in a moment. Let Subramaniam Swamy respond. Harish says it's about priorities. Are we going to spend that money on schools, on education, on health, on infrastructure? Will we spend it on protecting cows? You said there's no study. Harish Damodharan has looked at the numbers very carefully and he's put them out before you. Dr. Swamy, respond.
Come on. First of all, he's got it all wrong when he says Sanskrit has become extinct. He doesn't know. Let him go around the world. If he goes to NASA, you'll find Sanskrit has been made compulsory because it's the most computer-friendly language. There are schools in England now which are teaching Sanskrit because of its capacity that reciting Sanskrit shlokas improves the brain. St. John's School, the very famous school in London, has now made Sanskrit compulsory. Germany has made Sanskrit compulsory. All over our country, the rate of growth of Sanskrit...
We leave the debate around Sanskrit for another day. Why don't you respond to his point about the need for about 1 lakh crore rupees if this business of prohibiting the slaughter of cows actually is put into place? He argues that taking care of those cows on an annual basis will cost about 1 lakh crore rupees.
I challenge... there is no study that has been brought on record. Nothing has been quoted. It's just a series of opinions in this panel that we are having. And I'm telling you, there's no study which says that protection of cow will lead to a negative effect. I have not seen any such study, and I have studied this matter very, very thoroughly. So I challenge this notion that somehow it will become a burden. And what is the cost of looking after a cow after it becomes old? It's a very minuscule amount considering the size of our GDP.
Harish.
So then why are farmers selling their cows after some time? See, let's be very clear. If we want to follow this policy, whatever, good or bad,
because the government is doing nothing, that's why.
Go on, Harish.
No. Suppose, see, my point is, if this decision is taken to ban cow slaughter, all India, this is a decision which has been which will be taken by whatever the Indian state, by the Indian Parliament, by the Indian legislature in good faith for non-economic reasons. So that being the case, we cannot leave this entire burden on the farmer, right? It has to be borne by the taxpayer, right? You and I will have to bear the burden of this thing. See, you and I, Rahul, you are not going to keep cows in your home. I am not going to keep cows in my home. Neither is Dr. Swamy, nor is Mr. Owaisi, right? Finally, so we cannot expect that the farmer will also keep this whole these things. So that means it will have to be funded. And the fact is, to feed an animal, to maintain and keep an animal a day costs about 200 rupees. We are talking of about 1 crore animals. So it's very simple. So 200 crore per day. So 200 crore into 365. It is you can do the maths. And right now the farmer is selling. You know, he's selling. He may not know that it's finally getting slaughtered. He may not be slaughtering it, but somebody else is doing it, and he's paying him 25,000 rupees. So
when the farmer sells the cow, you know, he may not want it to be slaughtered, but at the back of his head he knows that, you know, maybe why else would somebody be buying the cow? If the cow is no longer fit for milk, there's a possibility it will get slaughtered. Is there an element of truth in what Harish says, that you're not going to be rearing cows, I'm not rearing cows, I don't know whether Dr. Swamy is rearing any cows, but you're imposing this cost on the farmer? Dr. Swamy says the solution is the government can provide funding. Harish Damodharan says that will take about 1 lakh crore rupees. Can government funding take care of this problem? Asuddin Owaisi?
Well, as I said in my initial remarks, that this Modi government has substantially cut the budget of of small children. Now, if that is done, and how can you expect this government to provide 1 lakh crores only to maintain 1 crore cows? Mr. Swamy is good at economics. I still believe if he was the finance minister of India, the Indian finances would have gone up, but that's a different story. But Mr. Swamy and the BJP are completely blinded by their faith. Now, here what it comes in the Constitution, Article 51H, we must have a scientific temperament. Now, you have a person over there, Harish, who has done his homework, who knows the ground reality, and basing on his own expertise, he is saying we require 1 lakh crore. Where is the money? Where is the budget? As rightly said Harish, let the BJP government make an outlay of 1 lakh crore. Can you do that? And please remember, in the Constitution, it is not said for Mr. Swamy's Astha, for majority Astha. No, that is not the case. And that is why BJP has said very clearly that next year's 3 northeastern states, we will not go for a cow slaughter act. That is why we have seen that a BJP contestant in Kerala saying what he had to say. So the economy is going down. You are not able to provide jobs. Dollar is reaching 70 rupees. And where are we living? Come on, people are dying on the streets. Today in Delhi, you have farmers of Tamil Nadu who have gone naked in front of Prime Minister's house. Why can't we help those poor farmers?
That if that 1 lakh crore rupees is to be spent,
we are not
it must be spent on improving the lot of farmers instead of pushing something which suits somebody's religious agenda. Kiran Rijiju on beef says, I eat beef, I am from Arunachal Pradesh, can somebody stop me? Let's not be touchy about others' practices. This is a democratic country. Manohar Parikar says, the view varies from person to person. As an administrator or the government, I cannot take a position to satisfy any one group. It's about individual opinion. Dr. Swamy, there may be farmers and others who believe that cows should not be sold, should not be slaughtered. By all means, they are entitled to their opinion. There may be others in Kerala, in the northeast, who want to eat cow meat. She is entitled to their opinion. Asuddin Owaisi says it's not about your astha, your dharma, it's about individual opinion.
All rights are subject to reasonable restrictions. And in the case of, as we have prevented now people from eating peacocks, we shall certainly prevent people from eating cow. And all these numbers which are being floated around, if I had known that we are going to have economics of cow, I would have come prepared with it. And whatever knowledge I have in the field, I can tell you all these numbers are bogus.
No, but Dr. Swamy, reasonable restrictions for whom? I think the point that Asuddin Owaisi makes is that, how will you respond to people in the northeast? How will you respond to Kiran Rijiju? How will you respond to Manohar Parikar? Voters in Kerala, voters in Goa, voters in the northeast, and even those in other parts. If they wish to eat beef, should they not have the right? How can one view of what is right, what is wrong be foisted on others? Shouldn't people have the right to determine whether or not they wish to treat the cow as their mother, to eat cow meat, not eat cow meat? Leave that to people to decide.
No, that tomorrow you'll say that people can decide whether they can have narcotics or not, whether they can take cocaine or not. We can't allow that. We have a social policy. We feel that is good for the economy. We feel it's necessary for our tradition to ban cow slaughter, and therefore we will ban it.
Okay, Asuddin Owaisi wants to respond.
Well, Mr. Swamy is now confused over here completely. He knows for a fact that, directive principle of Article 47 clearly talks about prohibition of alcohol, narcotic substance. We have a law on narcotic substance. We know for a fact, Mr. Swamy, why are you confusing things over here? Why don't you tell your own government that they have not yet responded to the Himachal Pradesh High Court judgment to July 2016? What have they done? More than 1 year has passed. That is why I am saying that this government's priority is not governance. This government priority is not India first. This government priority is only cow, cow and cow. Where is the money? You require outlays. Just imagine that the Supreme Court has said impose alcohol ban within 500 meters. What are these states doing? You know, farmers of from Tamil Nadu, from Mr. Swamy's home state, have gone naked in front of Prime Minister's house. We cannot even give them that money. You know, these are main.
No, Swamy, respond. It is about outlays. It's about budgets. You know, Harish Damodaran is quoting a figure of 1 lakh crore rupees, even if it is slightly lesser. Where is this money coming from? And it's a question of priorities. Will you spend it on the Tamil Nadu farmers who are drought hit? Will you spend it on education? Will you spend it on health? Or will you spend it on cows? And why should the religious view of some people be put over the notion that India must come first, Dr. Swamy?
Well, first of all, how much money is required for upkeep of old cows? I don't accept these estimates. Second, I can tell you that even if we were, just for the sake of argument, I'm saying this, if you were to tell the people that they should be ready to pay a cess if they want the cow to be protected, the vast majority of the people will pay the necessary cess. And we can meet the expenditure out of that. Anyone with any knowledge of economics knows that there are thousands of ways of raising resources. Last time when I was asked this question, that if you are, I'm just giving an example because we are going far afield judging by what Mr. Owaisi just said. Supposing if you were to abolish income tax, where is going to that money come from? Well, by auctioning 2G spectrum scam, we got double the amount we raised by income tax. So there is plenty of opportunities to raise the resources, and there is no question of whether you're going to feed the farmers or whether you're going to look after the cows. You have enough money in this country to do both.
Harish Damodaran, Dr. Swamy says there's enough money to do both. You need a will and a way will be found. Do you agree, or do you think it will reflect highly flawed priorities?
See, when the constitution was written, at that time there was no urea, there was no DAP. There were no tractors, there were no harvester combines, there was no LPG, there was no kerosene. Okay, so whereas during that time you needed, there was no tube well, there was no nothing of this. Today you have tractors which plough the fields. You have electric tube wells which pull the whatever the water from the wells for irrigation. You have LPG and kerosene instead of dung. So today you have the economics of cow is only about milk production. You know, today farmers keep cows only for milk, purely for milk. So this is an economic issue. Whereas we are talking of the ancient times, the medieval times, or even the pre-50s. When everything revolved around the cow, because the cow was also the mother of bulls, the mother of the bullocks, and there were no chemical fertilizers. Today the whole thing has changed. The farmer, see, you have to finally look at the farmer. Is he going to keep the cow? I mean, is he going to maintain bullocks? Is he going to today? Even for example, you don't need even bulls today. You have artificial insemination. So in such a scenario, I think we need to we need to figure out. I mean, I think as a religion, Hinduism has the beauty about Hinduism is it has been able to change. It has been able to change over the years. Various. It has never been frozen.
That a
in
notion
time,
which is pre-50s cannot be imposed on modern day India. That the position of cows on the ground is no longer what it used to be. Religious notions may have stayed the same, but commercial realities have changed. The cow today is mostly about milk production, and people will simply move away from cows. Farmers will not keep cows. How will you respond then, Dr. Swamy? You have to present an economic rationale. It can't just be about sentiment. There has to be, it has to make sense.
Listen, you talk about, you could draw your own scenarios. I can draw my own scenarios. There was a time when I used to be told that you can't grow faster than 3.5% rate of growth, which is the growth rate we achieved from 1950 to 1990. And they jokingly used to call this the Hindu rate of growth. Nasimha Rao showed that your growth rate can accelerate to 9–10% within 5 years. And since then, the new norm is 7%, at least 7%. Now, these are people, those people who have a perennial negative view of what we can achieve. The country is tremendous opportunities, tremendous resources. The question is that if you want to do it, there's plenty of resources for doing that.
Ashuddin Owaisi, we've seen recently, let alone the RSS Chief Zainul Abidin Khan, the Diwan of the Ajmer Sharif Dargah, calling upon Muslims in India to give up eating beef, vowed not to do so himself. Even the All India Shia Personal Law Board has asked the central government to enact a law to ban cow slaughter across the country. So now voices from within the Muslim community also saying exactly what Mohan Bhagwat's been saying.
Well, if you go back in time and see the election records, BJP had received 2.5 crores from beef exporters as party fund. This was given by BJP to Election Commission of India. And Rahul, can I point an important thing over here? Let us assume it's not 1 lakh crores, 50,000 crores. Why is our capital expenditure on army, navy going down? Our soldiers who participate in parade on 26th of January in New Delhi.
You're not responding to the question I asked. How do you respond to the likes of Zainullah Abidin Khan, also the chief of the All India Shia Personal Law Board, asking Muslims to give up eating beef, saying there must be a ban on cow slaughter? How do you respond to these voices, Mr. Owaisi?
So the perception is that beef export or beef whatever is being, who is there? Muslims are not there. Majority are Hindus. I can give you names. Who's the owner of Al Kabir? Who's the owner of Al Kabir? I mean, these people do not know the reality, whether and whoever it is Diwan or not. Who are the main producers? Who are the main sellers of the beef? And please understand that yesterday the Haryana Chief Minister said, we will give special license for beef in Haryana. What is this? You make a law that you will give a sentence of 10 years and then you say we'll give you a special license to sell beef. Where are we heading for? What kind of hypocrisy is this? Don't give me the examples. Now, all those meat eaters in Uttar Pradesh, how many are Muslims? Or how many are in business? 30% are Muslims. Remaining 70% are non-Muslims.
No, and also...
So where are we heading for this? This argument is completely wrong. Please don't make it a religious argument.
And the fact also is, India still is, as a majority, a meat-eating nation. This may not be a fashionable thing to say, but a majority of Indians eat meat. The number of people who are not eating meat are actually in the minority, and some of them may be in power, but that doesn't mean because they're in power, they get to impose a notion which is not agreeable to a majority in this country. Harish Damodaran has presented some facts. Dr. Subramaniam Swamy is contesting them, but there must be an economic commercial rationale. It can't be done just out of sentiment. There has to be an economic and commercial rationale. There must be adequate thought, research and study going into determining what the cost of such a move will be. If there is to be a ban on cow slaughter, will it actually help the economy? Will it prove to be a highly expensive proposition? There must be study. You heard some figures put out by Harish. There must be a government study. Let's find out how much it will cost. Let's look at whether it's worth that kind of money, or are we spending money, time and energy on issues which are not as important as issues of health, as issues of agriculture, as issues of education. Let's try and fix those first. Ashuddin Owaisi, Subramaniam Swamy, Harish Damodaran for joining me on the Newsroom Showdown tonight. Gentlemen, thank you very much. This is not just about sentiment, about dharma, about astha. It must make sense. India has changed from the time the Constitution was written, and while of course there must be a debate on what Mohan Bhagwat is saying, in the end it must benefit the farmer for whom this is meant. It can't become a burden for that farmer.